The victory test is a very easy way to look at shoulder mechanics and then to see how do those mechanics change under fatigue. So you'll perform 10 repetitions of our victory exercise. So with light crossover cords, taking those arms up and overhead, and then a slow return back to the start position. And if you don't have crossover cords, no big deal. You could get the same effect just using a light pair of dumbbells. And you want to do this screen before your training session and then after your training session as well. So maybe you don't notice anything in particular on the front end of the training session, but as you get fatigued or worn out, those changes happen on the back end. And that's going to suggest that changes are happening around your shoulder mechanics that would predispose you to running into shoulder pain. Now, I'm going to show you an athlete here who he was shooting some educational videos for crossover symmetry. Basically, at this point, he'd been doing crossover symmetry for like 2 hours straight. So he was definitely fatigued. You can see changes in his mechanics from the very start. So the two things we're going to look for, the first one are going to be scapular tipping or winging. So we see the medial border of his scapula, this ridge here, starts to pull away from the rib cage. And again, he's already starting fatigued, so you can already see some tipping going on as part of his movement pattern. The second thing we're going to look for is some tightness or stiffness of the upper trap. So as the stabilizers around the shoulder start to become fatigued, so specifically serratus anterior or lower middle trap, something has to control and really stabilize scapula, and the upper trap really becomes the default here. And so if you start seeing that upper trap become tight and stiff, a lot of people point to it, oh, hey, upper trap is tight and stiff, got to work on that tightness. But importantly is we got to look at the other stabilizers as well, and maybe they're just not performing the job very well, so upper trap has to be the main mover here. So that could be an issue of just muscular weakness rather than upper trap tightness. Now let's watch him move. So his first repetition, it's not too bad, nothing to be super concerned about, but as he starts to progress through these repetitions, you can see fatigue setting in. Specifically, we start seeing more and more of this medial border pulling away from the rib cage, and that upper trap also starts to get more and more stiff as he goes through these repetitions. You can see how the shoulder blade is shifting upwards into his ears as he finishes out that repetition. And then his last repetition here, he's definitely stiff in that upper trap, and then as he returns down slow and controlled, we almost see that full medial border pulling away from the back. So this is not a huge reason to get stressed out, but it is an indicator that stability needs to be worked on, or else there are things that are happening as the shoulder becomes fatigued that are predisposing it to running into pain. Fortunately, the crossover symmetry system is a super easy way to fix those issues. So we'll progressively work you through strengthening those smaller stabilizers so we can improve mechanics and make shoulder pain less of an issue for those overhead athletes.